but lots of talent, and really pleased with some of the adjustments that were made as soon as we recognized an early or a change from the beginning from the Dominican Republic. Super gutted for Mia, just such a sad situation. She was performing excellent, making major strides, team's really behind her, and we just want to see her recover as quick as we possibly can. Alex is a total pro. I knew she'd stayed ready. We've been in pretty consistent contact. She was naturally the next person to call in and ready for the challenge, did a great job today. Was in the right place a lot, and we just didn't find her. And then really good to convert her PK, but just really glad to have her back in the squad and get going together.
This is Scott Prince from Soccer America. Want to get your thoughts on Olivia Moultrie, what you saw from her today, what you've seen from her in camp, and what you saw from her in December.
Yeah, we're really pleased with Olivia. She's one of these players that I'm kind of speaking in a little bit of an experience gap compared to some of the other players, but certainly not a gap in talent. And so these games are really important. It's hard to play against teams that play with 5 back or multiple players in the midfield. They had two pretty good banks of defenders, and she was able to find space in the pocket a few times, and we really challenged her as the game went on to continue to find space where she was instead of coming down below, and I think she accepted that challenge pretty well and made a difference later in her minutes, and obviously super pleased for her to get a first goal and another goal, and just really good steps for her.
And in the camp, just how she's progressed.
Yeah, she's taking steps every camp. She's very diligent in everything that she does in the training environment, in the hotels, and she's just been clamoring for a moment like this. So we're really pleased to be able to, have this opportunity for her. But just like everybody, she shows up, and the expectation is to be at your very best every day, be ready if your name is called upon, and she's doing a great job.
Oh, hi, Twila. Damian Calhoun, LA Daily News. From this game to next game, where do you want to see the team grow? In which areas you think for the game on Friday?
Yeah, I'd like to see a bit more efficiency. We asked them to play with sort of this patient urgency. We knew that if we did our job, we'd push them back into our final third or their defensive third, and that's hard to do, but you have to move the ball quickly and try and move and shift them and create these goal-scoring opportunities. And I think we're actually a little too patient. I think that we could have served in a few more crosses with less passes and created a few more opportunities, and I just want us to be a bit more efficient. I think that we'll see a totally different test in our next matches, and so we've been planning all along for those games, and I just expect them to first make sure that we're doing what we said we were going to do, and then see what challenges actually brought our way, and make sure that we're continuing in our style of play, but adjusting to what's actually happening in front of us.
Hey Coach, Cameron Neal with the Sporting Tribune. You mentioned Alex as kind of the natural fill-in for Mia. With Mallory Swanson training with the team, why was she not the call-up? And is she ready to play in matches?
Well, first of all, there's a 9. We're replacing a specific position, and Al's one of the best 9s in the world, so there you go. Mal's doing a great job. She looked great in camp. We feel it's in her best interest to continue in the progress in her club landscape. To be an international athlete means that you have to do 2 things kind of at the same time all the time, and one of them is in your club environment while you're preparing for international duty, and while you're here, you've also got to be ready to slide right back into club, and that's a lot to do all at once. So she came in, had some great days with us, looked phenomenal in training. She's still getting her fitness about her, and she'll go back to club and continue to progress on a rhythm that will allow her to be ready for future matches.
Dilio Guerrero, El Rincón de Dilio, República Dominicana. El primer tiempo termina 2-0 ante una selección que es el primer campeonato de esta magnitud que juega. Se esperaba Estados Unidos enfrentarse a una selección como esta tan cerrada y tácticamente de esta forma. Gracias.
Yeah, I think the Dominican Republic has shown a 4-2-3-1. And we prepared for a 4-2-3-1, but we're also not surprised, and we prepare for what ifs. What if a team does something different against us, which happens quite a bit. I think they had a really good game plan. We're very difficult to play against. I'm also really proud that we recognized that early on the field, made adjustments early on the field. And sure, I would like to have had a few more goals going into the first half, but I think that also says a lot about the Dominican Republic and also how hard it is to play against teams that sit a little bit lower and make such tight blocks to play against.
Bonsoir, coach. I'm going to ask my question in French. Mon nom c'est Delva Blanc. Je travaille pour AC Radio 103.5 FM Stéréo Haïti et Delva Calcio Bomboul. Tout d'abord, je veux bien vous féliciter pour cette victoire de ce soir. Ma question est la suivante. Connaissant l'équipe américaine qui écrase tout sur son passage par de larges scores, donc ce soir, votre équipe a gagné seulement 5-0 contre une modeste formation dominicaine. Qu'est-ce que ça vous dit? Merci.
Okay. Unfortunately, there was no French translation. I'm sorry that I didn't understand the question.
Really?
Really? I tried.
At the start, we mentioned that tonight we had simultaneous translation
Okay,
available in Spanish and
let-
English,
let me-
unfortunately. But if you
Let
can
me
repeat
try to ask the question in
Spanish or English, then
No,
we can
let me
definitely
try in
accommodate.
English. Let me try in English.
Apologies.
Yes, everybody knows that the team USA is the biggest team in the world. So usually you scored at least 10, 11, 12 goals against the little team like Dominican Republic. So tonight you win only 5-0. What did you say yourself about that score?
Of course, I'm looking at our team, and the team's looking at me, and we understand that we need to be more ruthless, that there were opportunities and goals left on the table. But I think what you're speaking to is also a reflection of the growth in soccer. And even if you look from the last World Cup to this World Cup, I think goals in general decreased by 9%, and even more later in the rounds. And it's a reflection of teams being more prepared than they have been to play compact when they need to. And you'll see more and more teams playing as they did tonight, very organized, great game plan, very difficult to play against. And they did so very early on in the game. What I'd say to my team is we need to obviously get better in certain areas that we'll review, but it's also very difficult to score 3 goals that are tap-in goals that are close to one-touch finishes in the 6-yard box with a team that's really compact. And the 2 penalty kicks were earned from the run of play as well, where we also had 3 or 4 players waiting in the box. The goals will come, and I think we need to be a little bit more clinical, a little bit more ruthless, but I'm also really pleased with the direction we're going. And if we can score similar types of goals as we go along in the tournament, I'll be very pleased.
At this time, we're going to transition to the media who has joined us virtually. Orlando, you can go ahead and ask your question at this time.
Gracias, buenas noches. Buenas noches, coach. Hablando Castellano, Servicio Informativo de Deportes. Hoy, ¿con qué se va, con qué se queda de lo que vivió dentro de la cancha a corregir para el próximo partido contra Argentina?
Yeah, again, some of my takeaways tonight are just a really good first step in getting some experience in a major tournament with young players that have this gap in experience. They're very talented and need these experiences to learn how to play against teams that play in lower blocks to feel the pressure of needing to score goals in a tournament where goal scoring matters a lot, to have some things early on in the tournament while we've been able to keep players fresh that also are coming out of preseasons, and that's going to be important so that we can peak at the right time in this tournament. I think we're in a good spot. I think that having those players get this experience while keeping players fresh and being able to pull specific learnings away that we can apply as the tournament goes on is really good. And I think experimenting and having the players experiment with how to move teams that like to play in blocks that are organized, learning how to assess and test individuals that they're playing against as well very quickly and try and capitalize on some of those things, and then continue to work on specific partnerships within our squad. This is a group that doesn't get to play together very often, and these are great opportunities to get certain players together and start to work out the types of things that create a bit more synergy.